Greetings and welcome to the Astronomy Picture of the Day podcast. Today's picture for August 22nd of 2025 is titled A Tale of Two Nebulae. So, what do we see here? Well, looking out toward the constellation of Lyra, we see two different nebulae, and the one centered in the image is known as the Ring Nebula, also known as M57, and is an example of a planetary nebula. Now, in a deeper, longer exposure like this, you can see a lot of the outer detail of the nebula that's not often visible. So those shells around it showing perhaps that certain layers were expelled at different times. Now, a planetary nebula is what happens at the end of the life of a star like our sun. And the inner layers contract, the outer layers expand outward, and eventually instabilities will expel them out into space. And as we learn more about planetary nebulae, we start to understand that this is not necessarily a single process, that the layers are not just expelled out and it's done, but it may actually happen in stages where certain layers are expelled out once, and then a period of time later, other layers are expelled out, giving much more complexity to this type of nebula. Now, as that is a very prominent and often observed nebula, known as the Ring Nebula. The other nebula out to the left-hand side here is a spiral galaxy. So how is it a nebula? Well, it's only been about 100 years ago that we actually identified spiral galaxies like this as actual galaxies and not nebulae. And in fact, prior to that time, they were called the spiral nebulae, and it was a great discussion among astronomers as to whether these spiral nebulae were actually galaxies or island universes out in the distance, or if they were nebulae within our own galaxy, much like the Ring Nebula that we looked at first here. So the good question was that it took a long time until we could actually make measurements of certain galaxies nearby to determine their distances accurately to find out that indeed they were outside of our own galaxy and were galaxies in their own right. And we see that spiral galaxy here. And while it may appear close to the Ring Nebula, and they happen to be close together on the sky, they are nowhere near each other in space. So, the Ring Nebula, about 2,000 light years away. The galaxy, known as IC 1296, more like 200 million light years away. Now, while they look vaguely the same size, maybe within a factor of 2 or so here, that means that it's in reality 100,000 times larger than the Ring Nebula. That if we looked here, we'd have to split that galaxy into a line across it and divide it 100,000 times to find the size of the Ring Nebula in comparison, which would be minuscule and invisible at this scale. So you would not be able to see a nebula like the Ring Nebula no matter how much you look into that galaxy. It's simply too far away, and the nebula itself would be too small to be seen. Of course, when we see it within our own galaxy, we can see far better. We are much closer to it, and we can see detail as we see here today. Now, of course, if you look around this image, you can see far more galaxies. So take a look there and see, because you can easily pick out a number of other fuzzy objects there, which are actually distant galaxies, even well beyond the IC 1296 that we looked at as the barred spiral galaxy in this image. So that was our picture of the day for August 22nd of 2025. It was titled A Tale of Two Nebulae. We'll be back again tomorrow for the next picture. So until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in class.